Okay, man. I'm just clowning. Those are just jokes.
No,
Those.
because Brandon is going to be facing Drew, and he's going to catch the passes when he's facing back to Drew.
That's what Coach said. That's the only way he can catch a ball. So, all right, man. I want to see Brandon Coleman.
Until y'all mentioned his name, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Remy.
I want to see him do well, man. I kid you not, because I really was excited when I saw the film on Brandon Coleman coming out of Rutgers. I thought the Saints got a steal in this kid. And I started talking to a guy from Rutgers. He said the same thing about Coleman, not even knowing the problems we have been experiencing with him. He said some games he showed up, some games we don't know what type of bonehead play he was going to make. So that has been his MO ever since college, man. So
But remember, Jeffrey started a little slow, so maybe this year, instead of 18 receptions, maybe we'll get him to 36. You know, let's just hope that some improvement shows up this year.
Okay.
I forgot to mention it, but I want to throw it out there before we left Drew and chasing records. He don't really have a chance to do it in 2 years, but in third years, that mystical third year we're talking about where he ends up, if he averages over 30 touchdowns a year like he's been doing, he has the chance in 3 years to break the touchdown record.
Wow.
Currently held by Peyton Manning. Manning has 539. Drew and Tom Brady are both tied for 428. So if you're looking at like 35 touchdowns a year, which Drew has done consistently, he could also be breaking that record in 3 years.
Do you think but Peyton, I'm thinking Brady. Do you think Brady is going to stay around another couple of years as well?
I don't see why not, unless, just for health reasons or just in terms of he's done it all, why he would leave. Now, he has technically been around a year longer than Drew, but if you've got the chance to win every year like the Patriots consistently have, why not keep going? I mean, he's the Michael Jordan of his time right now, so, I mean, he's not exactly slowing down. He's still doing real strong. He's got a great team around him. Unless he just wants to, hang it up and focus on dating supermodels and doing the party scene, I mean, I don't see why he would quit football.
What if Garoppolo, these first 4 games, really show that he has the opportunity to take advantage of a role that will be granted to him if he had the chance to be full-time all the time? Do you think Belichick, because, he is an evil scientist himself, right? Do you think he may say, well, yeah, I think it may be time after next year to kind of let Brady walk?
Well, let me put my opinion on this, and we'll get what everybody else thinks on it. I'm going to give you a couple examples why. I think no, because of 2 reasons. One, we're not looking at a Dak Prescott, Tony Romo type deal where Tony Romo walks in a training camp looking like me with Michelin tires around his belly. We're talking about potentially, depending on who you ask, the best quarterback of all time. I know that's widely debated, but Tom Brady being one of the greatest ever to play. We're not talking about just an above-average quarterback and, say, a Tony Romo. Second, look at all the quarterbacks that have filled in for Brady when he's been injured or filled in under Belichick, period, with the Patriots, who have done well and then left and not done very well because the system is perfect for what Bill's wanting to do. Mm-hmm. Just because Garoppolo can come in and be strong doesn't mean he's the next Brady. He could be the next Castle and just looked amazing because the system was perfect. The situation was perfect. The personnel around him were perfect. One of the best head coaches ever is above him. I don't necessarily think that he plays those few games and looks great that they start thinking, oh, man, let's get rid of Brady. I think when you've got a Brady, you've got a Brees, you've got a Rodgers, you stick to them no matter who pops up behind them.
Okay, good point. Okay, let's talk a little bit about what's going on with the injured reserve. I call him my favorite Who man. He's been put on IR for the year. Sheldon Rankins is going to have an opportunity to come back in 6 weeks. And, Damian Swan, and we just got to pray for the kid. He's on IR. it's not a concussion this year, but he's undergoing some treatment for either a groin injury or an abductor injury. So that's still a part of the groin. The Saints practice squad: Jack Allen, Brian Dixon, which I was surprised Brian was cut by the Saints, being with the Saints the past 3 years, but he's still on the practice squad. That gives him an opportunity to come back in case there's injury. Austin Johnson, who also has been with the Saints, is now on the practice squad at fullback. Jake Lampkin is at wide receiver, and John Fullerton at offensive line, and Jack Allen at offensive line as well. Bobby Richardson. Now, this was an interesting cut here. Bobby Richardson, in my opinion, has been pretty effective whenever given an opportunity to go into football games, right? He was cut, but fortunately the Saints were able to bring him back and put him on the practice squad, as well as this kid, Jordan Williams-Lambert, who scored a touchdown in last preseason game out of Ball State. He's a friend of Willie Snead and those guys. He is on the practice squad, as well as Tony Stewart. Any surprises there on the practice squad, guys? Professor Brendan, Remy, or Deuce?
No, not for me. This professor here, no, because I'm just saying the preseason was just so apathetic. It was just not much you can tell. I was rooting for Jared Dangerfield. I think when I looked at Dangerfield's film and on YouTube and stuff from Western Kentucky, I don't think he was given enough opportunity or time. He had, really some great skills, but just did not get enough playing time. Or the times that he was in the game, he wasn't able to make any splash. But I can't think that's the only person that, for me, that I would have liked to see the Saints to still give a look at and keep him on the practice squad.
Right. Okay. And we got to talk about this. The Saints have like 15 running backs right now. There's no way that all these guys can be able to see the ball, right? Is this a situation where you have Lasco that has been performing well on special teams? You have Marcus Murphy, who is, in my opinion, our best potential threat to return a kick. But then the Saints brought back Travaris Cadet. So now we have 7 running backs, so to speak, on the team. And what do you do with Hightower?
He's going to be inactive most weeks unless something happens. You got to keep Hightower because Ingram has had the propensity not to be able to play a full season. And then you got to keep Lasco because Hightower, in his past, does not have the propensity to play a full season. So then you have C.J. Spiller, who has the propensity not to play a full season.
Okay.
So you got 3 running backs that have injury historical data shows that they're not going to last a full season. So,
well, just to add fuel to the fire, I don't know if y'all saw what C.J. Spiller tweeted just kind of ominously about 46 minutes ago, 45. He says, "Sometimes we don't fully understand God's plan for our life, but what I do know is I must always trust in His plans." Well, that might not necessarily mean anything. I know a lot of Saints players have posted similar stuff, and then the next day or two we got some news that snap counts are down or trades are happening or people are being cut. So when we got a stable of running backs as large as what we just talked about 15 players, I don't know, and I think Professor pointed out a good point is we're talking about different styles of running back too. I mean, Cadet and Murphy and Spiller are not traditional A-B gap running backs. We've got that in Hightower and Lasco. And I don't agree with keeping this many ever. I think you put some on the practice squad, and as bad as the O-line's been, we might want to carry more than, 6 O-linemen right now?
Look, one of those guys might do better at O-line.
That's what I was thinking.
I was like, we put John Kuhn up at guard. He'd sit in between Armstead and Unger. He'd do all right.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It's a head scratcher. This whole, every season under Sean Payton is a head scratcher when it comes to his final roster. He's always doing something that just don't make a lot of sense. Like the year we came in with like 4 or 5 linebackers, stuff like that just makes you go, what? But I've just kind of learned to trust in it because year after year, with barring a couple of the last year, which has been a kind of a low season, he makes it work. Overall, Peyton's a winner. So we've had some down seasons, but it's not like we're back in the Haslett days or, the Ditka days. We're still winners. We're just hitting on average. We need to find a way to push above average. So I don't really know why he's doing it, but I trust in it.
Okay, you trust him. That's good.
I sense some doubt in your voice, Kyle.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Look,
what else can we do?
It's nothing else we can do. Right, you're right, Rev. It's nothing we can really do, man. Let us pray. That's
Let us pray, and my prayer is I don't want to hear it at the end of the year.
Okay, guys. Brendan, you've been pretty quiet there. You okay, buddy?
I'm fine. I'm A-okay. Just listen to what everybody else has got to say. When it comes to the running back thing, though, my final projection on Big Easy Believer had us carrying 5 backs, including John Kuhn.
Mm-hmm.
So to see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, including John Kuhn, I think 7 or 8, including John Kuhn. 7 is mind-boggling. And I think everybody just brought up a good point. You have different backs, Cadet, Murphy, Spiller, not typical AP gap runners. And Spiller's even talked about returning kicks and the possibility.
Right. I'm glad you mentioned that. That I forgot he had an interview about that. Go on. Sorry.
So with Spiller coming out and saying, I would love to return kicks again, I would love to return punts again, well, then what happens to Murphy? Is Murphy still going to be on the roster? Murphy had a lot of muffing issues last season, in the preseason this year. I think Lasco stays along because exactly what Kyle said. He did such a good job on special teams, not as a return man, but as a gunner he played very well. He had a lot of great tackles on special teams. Bringing Cadet back is a head-scratcher in terms of all the other backs that are there, though Cadet probably knows the playbook better than a lot of them.
The only thing I could think about Cadet, guys, and we really got to think about what the Saints are going to face on Sunday. They have Khalil Mack, and he's such an aggressive rusher, pass rusher, and that defensive line is pretty good, And all I can think is the fact that opens up, if Cadet is back there, he's going to be ready for screen passes. And he's pretty good at picking up blitzes at times as well. So that's the only thing I can think of, to bring him back.
I don't know. I'd rather have, I think Ingram has shown he's pretty strong out the backfield. I'd rather have him or Spiller, assuming Spiller's not injured, catching any passes. I'll tell you, it's going to be tough to run through the middle of that line. And, I've got a friend that plays for the Raiders, Justin Ellis. That defense is not the Raiders defense that we're used to seeing in the 2000s. This is starting to become more like the old Raiders defense. They're tough. They're nasty, especially in the trenches. That's going to be a hard game for us to win. Most people aren't seeing the Raiders as strong, but they're who I have winning the AFC West this year. So.
You and me both, man. I said the same thing.
A lot of people are saying that.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying that they will be winning the AFC West.
Khalil Mack is the Mac. That's all I'm going to say. He is the Mac. Go on, Rim.
And you're talking about your friend playing for the Raiders, man. But we have 2 really good guards here in New Orleans. Unfortunately, their names are Drew Holiday and Drew Holiday and Buddy Hill. No, we didn't.
Oh my goodness.
I know who else is getting blocked on Twitter.
Look, man.